Hey, Facebook Live!
Good afternoon, everybody.
We're not usually on my page doing something, but we wanted to hop on today and tell you about something that happened last night and this morning. And it's kind of crazy, but we figured someone else could benefit from what we had to go through. And so anyway, so let me just give you a little backstory. So last night, Aaron comes up and I was just reading a book in bed, practically falling asleep, but ready to get bed. He comes up and he's chewing on this
It was a piece of licorice. It was a piece of licorice.
It was a piece of licorice, and I'm not a licorice fan, but the sounds just really start to like get into my brain. But he only had one piece, so I was like, no, not a big deal, you know, whatever. But if you've ever had your spouse do something that kind of annoys you, drop a 1 in the comments.
Well, and I don't even think we're talking just about spouses, because
anybody.
We have siblings,
That's true.
we have colleagues, we have neighbors.
Yeah.
Where you're going to see them and you're trying to figure out what. So, yeah, last night I read her body language and totally jumped to conclusions that she was annoyed. And
Partly yes, partly no.
I just jumped at that, and I totally got on the attack.
I was like, okay, I'm sitting up here reading a book, you know, like, can you maybe take your licorice somewhere else? Or
No, she didn't say that.
I didn't say that. But we got into an argument, and we kind of just left it at that, honestly. We went to bed. I didn't say a word about it. And then this morning, after we took the kids to school and we were kind of working through it, like, if you've ever gotten in an argument with someone else, like, it takes time to kind of work through, and especially with your spouse, because you know each other so well.
And what ended up happening between us is I started looking at the negatives, and I really started focusing on what she's not doing that well. And I was being like brutally honest. Like, I was so immature with my emotional share. And so part of what we're sharing today is about expression. We really have to learn how to express ourselves. But what happened yesterday is I just let things build up instead of just telling her with my voice, you know, what was going on inside. And then all these things piled up and it just went blah, blah. If you've ever done that,
drop like, a 2 in the comments.
Where if you've ever held stuff in for so long, it just comes out. And it just goes all over whoever is there. In my case, it happened to be V last night.
I think we've all done that, where we let something kind of bug us and we say, no, I'm not going to say anything about it. No big deal. And then it comes up again, or something else. So it's just kind of like they each start stacking up. And soon it's just at the top and you're just like ready to explode.
And so that's what happened today is I got there to where I did. And I started saying things that were hurtful and untrue. But her response, which really made me think and realize that I'm on the wrong path here. This is not helping us get better. And it actually took her getting really vulnerable and being affected in a way where she felt like I didn't love her.
Well, I think in a relationship, you give so much to your spouse or whoever it is that like you start to kind of take down the walls that protect you, and you're vulnerable, and like they know stuff about you or know your weaknesses, but they also know your strengths. And so it's kind of an interesting place to be. But like if you've ever felt that with, you know, your spouse or with someone else, like you kind of get to the point where they're like, you know each other well enough. You're like, okay, you know, I can take down some of the walls and I'm more vulnerable. You know, drop a 3 in the comments, because that's how a marriage is.
It is. Relationships have so many dynamic feelings that come with it. But when this happened today, I was so hurt that I would hurt her that way. So I went downstairs to my office and I'm thinking, how can I convey a message to her that what I did, that my actions do not show what I really feel about her. And I got this thought to write out a list of all her positives. And I was like, really? She's really going to respond and feel that I really am genuine and serious about this? And yeah, that's what I felt. So I started writing the list. And I mean, the positives were coming. like left and right within like a minute. I had like 22, 23 positives listed on a piece of paper. I then walked up the stairs. I laid the paper in front of her.
Which I was on my computer and I was just like, okay, we'll try to move past this, kind of get through the day. I got, stuff to do or whatever. But he came up when he put that paper in front of me, like...
I stood next to her, actually, and I stood that ground. Because I didn't want to just drop the paper off and leave. Like, oh, here you go, bye. I wanted her to know that I was serious.
He was.
Now, if you've ever made a mistake in a relationship, drop a 4 in the comments section. Because we all do it, right? But the important thing is that it doesn't need to stay like that. I decided I was going to do something about it, and I stayed in that space, and I started to realize what she wants between us, which is we want to focus on what our strengths are. We know where we failed. We know where we failed. We already know that. What I want you to do is to tell me what I'm doing really well, because when you do that, I feel like I want to move forward, that we're connected, that we belong, that we fit in.
When I told him, I was like, man, I have plenty of faults. Like, you can name your own, and we often do, right? Like, we're so hard on ourselves. We're like, I don't do this right. I didn't do this right. This failed, whatever it is. And, but sometimes, like what he was saying, there was some truth to, the things he was saying. It just was really hard to hear. Mm-hmm. But when he came up with that paper and he had written down things that he loved about me, I just was like, wow, okay. Like I felt so grateful for him, and it really just boosted me up. In fact, after he went downstairs,
I remember this.
We hugged. I went downstairs and I was like, I need to vacuum this room. Like, I was like, he knows he's figured out how to get me to clean and like do stuff. He'd like write me a note or something, Hey, women, I know I am not the only one. Like, if your spouse says something nice or does something nice, you feel good. So I totally think, I was like, man, I need to do this with the kids. Like, if I want them to clean their rooms, just build them up, really help them feel good. Yeah. Words make a huge difference.
And I think and I think for both men and women, but I think for women, when they're lifted up and built up, and it's pointed out, hey, you are amazing, and here's how. The words that I used weren't like really cheap words, like easy words. I came up with really thoughtful words, like visionary. That was one that I loved, was visionary. I'm like, oh, she is so visionary. She has this ability to see things. Anyway, I'm just pointing out that there was some depth to it. And I know I'm learning that with you, and maybe it's women in general, but I'm learning that they like to feel that energy, that goodness, that belief in them. Because like she said, all these things are going on in the mind of what do I need to do, and I'm not doing enough. Isn't it great to have someone that says, you're doing enough? Yeah. And I believe in you. I believe in you. And that's what I took away. Don't quit. Don't quit when it gets tough. Go through the struggle, because now I learned something amazing today.
I did too.
I learned that when we get into a conflict, as we push our way through that and we keep working at it, I am actually going to see something that's going to make our connection stronger. And what I saw today is that, why am I focusing on the things that she has? There were 2 things that I've been focusing on that are not quite working out for me.
Oh, they definitely
two things. And I pointed out like 25 things that she does well.
I do the same thing.
A breakthrough.
It goes both ways for sure. But that's our tip today, is make your list of whether it's your spouse or someone else, make a list of what you love about them. Put it down on paper. Tons of stuff will keep flooding to you. But look at that list rather than the 1 or 2 things that are really pissing you off.
And that's what you can do also with neighbors and coworkers and, anybody where you feel like your relationship is strained. You can give them the benefit by believing in them, that they can change, or that somewhere along the line they'll see something they didn't see before. She could have given up on me. In the past, we've given up.
Sure.
We've given up in conflicts and said no, and then 3 weeks later we have a hash out, and then we figure it out. But now it's like, this happened this morning, And now today, like,
It's better.
we're better. Like, it's just better. But it took work. It didn't just happen. Action needed to be taken. She had to receive my words, and I had to give. I had to give them, and she had to receive them. And then we hugged. And hugs are great.
Hug. Yeah.
So relationships are a beautiful thing.
They are.
If we trust that the struggles we go through will teach us more about that person, and we can move forward.
Yeah.
So
we
consider our tip to write out those positives of your
I'm gonna
colleagues, neighbor,
do
partner,
that with
kids.
my kids too, because if we see their potential instead of seeing the problem, we can help them get to where they're going.
That's what I'm finding too. Like what I saw from her today after we worked through that, I was like, that's what I can feel her energy of just forward movement.
And I was vacuuming
So-
too. This is good.
You bring that up twice.
I know, it's so awesome. The room is vacuumed. Anyway,
If you want more information, go to
Yep.
our coach. You
our
go- you
website
go to
and
coach.
our page,
website.
Benson Coaching, and we do a relationship Thursday every week. And we
Every
share
week.
something.
Well, I think this is maybe like our 6th or 7th week
Yeah.
that we've done it.
So we want to hear from
we're
you.
gonna be
What
here.
kind of topics are you going through with relationships? What's something you found out maybe recently? What's something that you want to learn more about? Maybe it's just a story you want to share, but drop it in the comments and we will link our page. But have a fantastic
Thanks for
day.
listening. Hope it was helpful.
Bye, guys.